Welcome back to the Happy Healthy Days podcast. This is Barbie Dupuis, your host, here with my co-host Carly.
Hey everybody.
And we are back again. Today we are going to talk about our product of the month, and that is the diuretic balance. But the main thing that we want to address, and I think it's something that's really present year round, but especially in the summertime, and that is fluid retention. So do you think you're retaining fluid right now? And if you are, what can you do about it? So that's kind of what we want to address, because I think not just for weight loss purposes, we'll talk about the reasons why it's a problem for weight loss, but just general health reasons. Fluid retention can really cause some serious problems, especially one of the biggest problems you'll see worldwide is blood pressure. If you've got excess fluid, what's happening, all that fluid's in the chest cavity, it's going to lead to higher blood pressure. And we definitely don't want that. And how does fluid retention happen? Does everybody retain fluid? Are there just certain people that retain fluid? Really, everyone has the ability to retain fluid, but your lifestyle is a huge determinant of whether you will or you won't, and I guess the extremity to which you will retain fluid. So how bad of a case it can be. So I think the number one most common thing that causes people to retain fluid is not drinking enough water. And
that sounds silly, but
sounds silly because you would think, well, if I'm not drinking water, then my body's not going to retain any fluid. Well, what happens is if your body's not
getting enough
fluid, it's just going to hold on to every single drop that you give it.
Yeah, you want to think about your body as a bucket. You know, if I have this bucket and I fill it up with just the amount of water that it needs, that water's just going to sit in there and doesn't do anything. So it happens in our body. But if I kind of overflow that bucket and I kind of overhydrate, not necessarily overhydrate, but I drink more fluid, my body's going to flush out excess fluid as that bucket would flush out excess fluid.
So you can see it's very important that not only we're giving our body enough water, but actually even more than that, so that way it continue to flush out any excess that comes along. And water is so important for every single function in your body. All of your cells revolve around water
your
intake.
Liver and kidney function.
Yeah, the function of your liver and kidneys relies on water intake. And we know that if a patient's in the hospital and they are dying, what's the first thing that goes? The kidneys. Okay, so if the kidneys go, we kind of know that everything else it's going bad from that point on, and kidney function is dependent on water intake. So obviously fluid is so important, and I think a huge issue, especially that we see, is that people think that liquid in general counts as water intake. Okay, water is water. So if you are drinking unsweet tea, guess what? It does not count towards your water intake. If you are drinking soda, it does not count towards your water intake. If you are drinking a smoothie, that does not count towards your water intake. If you are drinking coffee, it does not count towards your water intake. But I make coffee with water, but I make tea with water. It doesn't matter. Okay, water is water, and that's the only thing that's going to count towards your water intake. So if you're a patient at the Aspen Clinic, and really anyone in general, you should try to aim for half of your body weight in water
every single day.
So if you weigh 200 pounds, you should be drinking 100 ounces of water a day. And really, if you're doing any type of physical activity, especially here in South Louisiana with the heat, you could really use even more.
150 ounces.
Even more than that. So it's so important that you're drinking enough. Another way that people tend to retain fluid, especially here in the South, is excess sodium intake, aka way too much salt in our diets. And
we like the crawfish boils with all the salt. We like the Tony Sage foods with all the salt. We eat these processed foods with all the sodium.
Yeah, and one of the reasons for sure, like Carly just mentioned, that we're seeing such high sodium levels in the body is because of the rise of the intake of processed foods. So if you're eating anything that's coming in a package, they're having to put some form of sodium in it to preserve that product or to extend the shelf life of it. So here's the thing. If you're eating primarily fresh or even frozen whole foods, meats, vegetables, fruits, then using seasonings with salt in them is okay.
Yes.
But if you're eating a bunch of processed products that are already coming packed with sodium, then we really don't need to be adding more salt to them. So you've got to be conscious of how much sodium intake you're including. Now, the daily limit that the government recommends is less than 2,000 milligrams of sodium a day. We generally recommend 1,500. Chances are, because you're going to eat more than that. So if we tell you 2,000, you're going to go for 2,500. So if we tell you 1,500, maybe you're going to keep it under 2,000. So just be very conscious. And you might not realize how much sodium you're eating every day. But if you're using like a packaged coffee creamer and then a packaged breakfast sandwich and then something packaged or chips or something for lunch, and then you're having something packaged for a snack, and then you're eating
add seasoning to it,
something, a frozen meal, for dinner, you are getting so much sodium in, and so of course you're going to retain fluid. So just be conscious of that. Also, here in Louisiana, obviously we love our seasonings. Just be very careful. A lot of times seasonings have sugar in them, so we don't want to be adding sugar to our food. You can use our grocery guides, and it'll show you all the seasonings that we approve of and the brands. Personally, I like Slap Your Mama. That's my favorite, but there are tons of great ones out there. So just be conscious, look at the ingredients list and make sure there's not sugar or added chemicals in them. But how do you know? How do you know if you're retaining fluid? I feel like, especially if you're a female, most females are pretty aware of when they feel really bloated. Your rings start to fit really tight. Your ankles are swollen. If you take off your shoes, you'll have like a big sock line, that shows that there's excess fluid. And a big thing that we see, especially, we work in weight loss, so generally people who are overweight tend to have blood pressure issues. It's not everybody, but a lot of people have blood pressure issues when you're overweight. And what happens is then your doctor prescribes a diuretic or a statin. The problem is that those drugs tend to only move fluid away from the heart. It doesn't actually eliminate the fluid from the body. So if you are taking a prescription diuretic right now, you might notice, well, wait, my hands are always swollen. My ankles are always really swollen. You can see but my blood pressure is under control. What's happening is that fluid's moving away from the heart, going into the extremities, so like your hands and your feet, and it's not actually being eliminated from the body. So that's a very easy way to tell if you're retaining fluid. Obviously, if you're a patient with us, we're going to do your body composition analysis, and the Tanita scale will show us what your water levels are. And depending on the time of day, depending on how much fluid you've drank, we can tell you what your water levels are looking like and whether we think you're retaining fluid. So what we want to see generally is that your water, your TBW or your total body water, should be somewhere between 50 to 70% of your body weight at the end of the day, like 9 p.m. when you go to sleep at night. So if you come in at noon and you're at 52%, then you're probably retaining a bit of fluid. Or we'll see on a Saturday morning, people come in at 8:15 in the morning and they're at 40-50%. They haven't had a sip of water yet that day. So it's a very good indicator that you're retaining fluid. So what we want to see is that water or that excess fluid flushed out. And then once that's flushed out and your TBW is at a good level, then we want that to stay pretty consistent to make sure we're maintaining adequate hydration. So that's really, really important. And why does fluid retention matter in terms of weight loss, Carly?
Water, it does a few things for our body. Water, like Barbie said, affects our blood pressure. And water also, unfortunately, binds to fat, which makes it super hard for us to lose that weight a little bit quicker.
So it just makes it a little bit harder for your body to remove fat mass. So an example I like to use is if you think, say you're at a swimming pool, summertime, so it's a great time for that. So say you're at the pool and you've got 2 bricks and you throw 1 brick into the 3-foot shallow end, and then you throw another brick into the 8-foot deep end, and you tell your kid or your niece or your nephew or the kid you're babysitting to go in and get the bricks out the pool. Which one is going to be easier for them to get out of the pool? The 3-foot shallow end.
Yes.
Obviously, if they're a child, it's going to be kind of hard for them to get that brick out of the pool, but they'll get it out, and it's going to be almost impossible for them to get it out of the 8-foot deep end. So Barbie, why are we talking about bricks in the swimming pool? Well, if you think about those bricks like your fat mass, and then the swimming pool essentially is the fluid retention or that fluid in your body. So what's happening is your body is having to work really hard to get that brick out of the pool or to get that fat mass out of the fluid retention so it can actually be eliminated from the body. So I usually say if you think about the 3-foot shallow end like a man's body and an 8-foot deep end like a woman's body, one of the main reasons that women lose weight slower than men is because we retain a ton of fluid.
Yes.
Between our hormones, everything else that we've got going on that slows our weight loss down. Fluid retention is a major factor. So what's going to happen is, generally a female's never going to get to that 3-foot shallow end. But if we could get to 5 feet, that would make a huge difference in allowing our body to actually eliminate fats efficiently. So we want to flush out that excess fluid for weight loss so that way our body can start to effectively remove fat. So that's where our diuretic balance comes in. So the big things with lifestyle that we want to reduce fluid, number 1, make sure you're drinking enough water. Number 2, make sure you're reducing sodium intake. And last but not least, if you need a little added boost, you can use our diuretic supplement. So the diuretic supplement has high levels of vitamin B6, which helps with fluid retention. So all it's going to do is remove any excess fluid that's currently built up in your tissues out of your body so you can start eliminating fats faster. It will never dehydrate you. I think that's a big question that we get. Well, definitely. I already take a prescription diuretic. Is this going to dehydrate? No, we already talked about the prescription diuretic's not eliminating fluid. It's just moving it around. Ours is actually going to eliminate, but it will only remove excess. So if you don't have enough water, then quite simply, it's not going to do anything for you. It's not going to eliminate it. Whereas if you have excess fluid, it's going to help to eliminate that through the urine. So yes, you may go to the bathroom a little bit more frequently, but we like to see that that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because your body's removing that excess fluid. So it's really awesome. This is probably our most popular supplement among our females. It also helps with hormonal balance, which we know is very key for females losing weight, but it's very beneficial for men too. I think men retain a lot of fluid because we see that they eat more sodium generally. It's not all the time, but generally men eat more sodium than women do, so they tend to retain more fluid. Also, men are more likely to have high blood pressure. So it's very beneficial for anyone right now, even if you're not retaining fluid and you're not trying to lose weight, you can use it for blood pressure purposes to try to make sure that we don't have any excess and to keep our blood pressure under control. But I would say that the diuretic is beneficial to all of our patients.
Absolutely.
Because like I said, it's only going to remove excess, so it's never going to hurt you. I think also it's really awesome for a female to keep around if you're experiencing PMS or extra bloating. You can take it and it'll help with PMS symptoms. Also, if I find that I'm like particularly bloated or I just feel a little puffy after travel, like if I'm on an airplane for a long time, I'll take 2 or 3 diuretics throughout the day just to really try to flush all of that out. Or if you're going on a vacation, you're going to be in a swimsuit, it's always good to have diuretic handy, to prevent excess bloating. The diuretic is our most popular among females, but it's also in our top 4 best-selling supplements. So it's in our power pack. It's what we recommend to new patients. Is there anything you think that people ask about the diuretic?
The main thing is that you kind of covered, is it going to make me go to the bathroom too much? Is it going to dehydrate me?
It's not going to make you, I think a big question that we do get is like, am I going to be up all night going to the bathroom? Just don't take it at night. Take it in the morning. So the answer would be no to that.
Or kind of like how Barbie said, it's not going to make you go to the bathroom, but it will definitely kind of regulate flow. If maybe you're only going 1 or 2 times a day, it might make you go 3 or 4. But
and like we said, if anything, if it starts doing that, that means that you were retaining fluid and it's eliminating it. So if anything, it's a good thing because it shows that the supplement is really working. With the diuretic, you can pair it with the B Complete. That is our full B complex. So it has all of the B vitamins. So the diuretic only has high levels of B6. It's got dandelion root, a couple of other milk thistle, a couple of other things in it. But the only B vitamin is B6. So if you pair the B Complete with it, B vitamins are water soluble. So that's a little added help with fluid retention if you pair the B6 with the full B complex. Also, all of our injections are B vitamin based. So they do help with fluid retention as well.
And I think another thing, if you are trying to target your blood pressure with the diuretic balance, another one to pair it with would be the omega as well. Omega does help with blood pressure. So I think the combination of both the diuretic and the omega could be beneficial for someone looking to target that aspect.
For sure. And I think a big thing with the diuretic is most of the time we're using it for fluid retention, but if someone's looking for hormonal balance as well, then you should probably talk to us about digestion and other things that we can do to help balance out your hormones. So overall, The main message we want to get through is with the summer, a lot of times we find that people are dehydrated. You're spending time outside, you're sweating a little bit more, so our body's losing fluid. So it's really important that you're drinking enough water. So that way, number one, you're not retaining fluid and holding off your weight loss goals, but that you stay hydrated and your body can function as optimally as possible.
Correct.
But we hope you have a great summer. We hope these tips helped. The Diuretic Balance is our supplement of the month for the month of June. So it's $5 off all month long. You can get it online. No code necessary. It's already discounted. So go to theaspenclinic.com and you'll see it in our online store. Also, you can stop into any Aspen Clinic location to purchase it, and we can help discuss any other supplements that might be beneficial towards you and your overall health and wellness goals. So we hope this helped, and you can contact us on Instagram at the Aspen Clinic, and we'll be back soon with another great episode of the Happy Healthy Days podcast.
Bye, y'all.